Monday the 6th of October reflections. So today we started off with just our normal warm-up, so we did a bit of aerobics and then some stretching like we normally do. After that, we then had to balance the stick on our finger. So we had to put like these bamboo sticks on whatever finger was best and try balance it. And then after that, we started talking about like the tempo rhythm. So trying to balance the stick but breathing slowly, so it'd be like a... And when I breathed slowly, I felt like I could balance the stick a bit better than when I was just trying to balance the stick, because I was focusing on my breathing, not the stick. So it made like holding the stick, balancing the stick easier. After that, we then did another tempo rhythm, but this time whatever our stick did, so if it was still, we breathed slowly, but if it started being wobbly, we had to breathe faster. With this, I felt more like, because I was then using my breath when I felt very panicked, more as opposed to like the other one where I was calm, so all my focus was on my breathing and I was moving quite slowly. As this one, like, it was a mixture of both, so it was wobbling like every 5 seconds. But it was quite good, like, doing that, because after that we then went into talking about how we do not act without emotion, so we always act with emotion. So we then did connecting emotions, like how to balance them. So we got back with the sticks, and we had to get in a pair, so we had to connect our sticks. So you use your fingers and you hold the stick, and then they use their fingers, hold the stick, and whatever they do, you've also got to move. So this felt like at some points it felt like very tense because we were both focusing, and then also it felt quite relaxed and like we enjoyed being together and like we were dancing in a sense. So that doing that shows two very quite different emotions, and it's good to see like what you can do in the scene without even thinking about it. We then used 3 sticks per pair, so we had one balanced on our finger and then one connecting us to the other person, and same, they had one balancing on their finger and then they were connected to by another one. And this one was very stressful because if my stick started wobbling, I had to run over there, but then if their stick was balancing perfectly fine, it's not now. So it felt like the emotion was kind of stressed, like on the verge of a breakdown, like that kind of like anxiousness you get, the panic, the stress, like that's how it felt. In a scene context, it kind of worked for a breakup or an argument, because one's slowly falling apart and the other one's trying to hold it together, and then eventually that one gets fed up because you're messing it up, so it all falls apart. And then we did it in a group, so instead of connecting hands, we connect sticks, and my group ended up splitting off into 2 separate groups. So it showed like what we said, it ended up showing friendships maybe breaking apart and being left with 2 different friend groups. But also it was very difficult to, if one person was like moving one way, but actually I'm also connected to them, but someone else who's kind of having to move another way, so I'm being twisted about, but I don't want to let the thing break. We then had to show this beyond what we were doing, so create it into a scene. So we had it where A is writing a letter and it's very important and it needs to be done, and then B, my group had 2 Bs, and then B is trying to tidy up around them and they're in the way. So what me, Neve and Summer did, we had chairs dotted about, and Neve was writing a very important text to someone, and we were cleaning away a restaurant or whatever it was, and we needed to put the chairs in different places ready for the next time. So every time she sat down, we were like, oh, you need to move, and slowly Neve was getting angrier and angrier, obviously Matt stopped us at the point where Neve sat on the floor, but when Neve sat on the floor, we also then had to ask her, can you get off the floor? And then that would have been like where she broke. And we did it like that. So we've asked her, and then she's like, fine, I'll just sit on the floor, like, you won't need to move me then. But then we needed to move her. So that's when she was like, ugh! And that's where that emotion, that breaking point where you drop the stick, that's when that happened. I really enjoyed that work because it made me think more about, like, emotions in the sense of, like, I'm having a good day and one bad thing happens, and slowly I'm getting more panic, so my stick is wobbling around more, and eventually someone says something to me and my stick drops, or my breaking point drops, and that's when I'm like, ugh! Like, I enjoyed it because it made me think about, like, how we react in the normal world. After that and after break, we then did our normal breathing exercises, so we laid on the floor, did our breath control, the in, out, ooh, ah, lip, and then we did lip trills, and stuff like that. That was what we did. After that, we then went over our opening speech, so we split into our level 3 year 2, level 3 year 1s, and we have the opening speech was year 2s, so we went over ours and we did the clicks and stuff like that, and it's slowly becoming better and better, like more fluid to us. After that, we then played the word association game. So I was in a 3 and we had to say words. So say one person said ball, I had to say the first thing that came to my head, which was small. Ball, small. And then we go around. After that, we then did shapes. So we had to create like poses, shapes with our body. And then say I open my arms out. My next thought, maybe the person, their first thing was put your arms up. Then maybe the person after that, put your arms down. Like that sort of thing. I enjoyed that because it's kind of like improv. You just do whatever comes naturally first. You don't have to think about what's next. We then got into pairs and we threw a ball to each other and we had to do the rhyme. Half a pound of tuppenny rice, half a pound of treacle. That's the way the money goes, pop goes the weasel. And with that, we say the first part of it, throw the ball. Then the other person says it, throw the ball. Yeah. Then we spoke about if that movement was responsive or purposeful. So I said that it's kind of a bit of both, because it's responsive because our key aim is to pass the ball once we spoke, but it's always also purposeful because we've been told we're throwing the ball after we spoke. So it's kind of a bit of both. We then did a bit of scene work. So we spoke about intention, and all movement has a purpose. Like, you can't move somewhere if it doesn't have a purpose. Maybe someone needs to be over that side of the stage and they're on the other side, and then that's their blocking to be on the other side of the stage. But you've got to move from that place to the other place with making it look like it's got intention or purpose. So if I was going to walk over there, I might want to greet people. So I might be like, oh, hi. So we got to think about like that sort of thing. So we got given scene work, and Alex wants to go to the arcade. Riley wants to go to the poetry event. So the rules were that we must move or change position every time we spoke, and the movement must be purposeful or responsive to what the other person said or done. So we got given the script. Me and Neve were pairs, so I started off on the chair, and then if I was saying something to her, I then stood up on my first line, walked over to her. Then she's like storms away because she's like, I don't want to go to the pottery. I want to do this. And then eventually I entice her and she sits down. So we did that sort of stuff and it was quite good. After that, we then got some new swords from the lovely SJT. So they've given us new swords so we can practice, because in Macbeth especially, they don't use fencing / rapiers like we do in Romeo and Juliet. So we had different swords. So we got to practice our sword choreo with the new swords. It was quite fun, but the swords are quite heavy because they're wooden. So we also had to learn that instead of hitting them flat on each other, you got to hit them on the sides because it's unlikely to break more because of how the wood is formed. Obviously, it's easier to break a wood if you slap it on top of each other, but if you hit it sideways, it's more unlikely to break because it's stronger that way. Then after lunch, we did project work. So we spoke about our written work. We did, I did my personal statement question 2, and that was it. Then I also did my audition work with Matt. So I went over my monologue, and that was quite good to like figure out. So we spoke about at the beginning, she's stood up and she hears the crow. Then she says, the first line, and then she's saying it to herself, so on her knees, quite low to herself. Then on the next bit, she's kind of talking to her inner circle in a sense, her, like, not her thoughts anymore. Then on the last bit, she's getting angrier, so she's speaking to the whole world, and then she keeps it to herself again. She's like, oh shit. So we spoke about like dynamics and levels of tension as well, and those 3 key parts of like who's she talking to, that sort of stuff. And that was it for Monday.